Stress.
Yeah.
How constant a presence is it in your life?
Right now, not very much.
How about up until retirement?
Yeah, every day. I mean, and I've always put more on myself than anybody ever has. I tell a player, when you're in that gym working, maybe somebody else is not. But if you're not in there, maybe somebody else is. And that could be the guy that you're competing with for the last spot on the team or for the #1 draft choice in the NBA. And so that's the way I've tried to run my life. I'm trying every day to make sure that nobody's going to outwork me.
How would the stress affect you?
Just not sleep, but I've always thought I could get by on less sleep than anybody in the world.
He'll just either be thinking of what he did wrong previously or what he can do to make it better in the future. And so it's just his mind never turns off enough for him to just truly relax.
How little sleep would you get?
A lot of times, 3 hours, something like that, 3 or 4. If I got 5 hours a night or something, I didn't know how to act, that kind of thing. But there would be sometimes after a loss, a difficult loss, maybe I wouldn't sleep at all.
To me, it was just one more reason why I have no desire and had no desire to ever be a basketball coach. It's just, that is not worth it. You run into a guy in the airport and we're with Pop or somebody says, I lost $10 on you guys last year, but go get it for me this year. The guy's not trying to be a jerk, but he has no idea. The normal person doesn't understand what it's like being in that kind of position where because he always felt like it's not just the players that I'm responsible for, but it's the players' families. It's the people within the athletic department. It's my assistant coach's kids. He talks about the assistant coach's kids as being his grandkids, and he has a count. Before he retired, he had a count. Now I've got 8 grandkids that I'm supporting. It's great for running a program and for a guy that cares, but that's not healthy, mentally.
Your son said, as it pertains to coaching, the highs are never as high as the lows are low. He mentioned you would say that. Why would you want a job that makes you feel that way?
For me, it all goes back to Buddy Baldwin. I wanted to be important and to make somebody feel like my high school coach made me feel. That was it. And then secondly, the competitive side, the lows are much, much lower than highs are high. I felt like it was a desperate level, that it was some way of, yes, grading, are you successful or not? Yes, but I not only hated losing, it was hard for me to handle.
When he loses a game in one of his suits, that suit ends up on my rack.
Does it really?
Absolutely. I've got a great collection back there of loser suits for him, but they work great for me.
You wrote in your book, if you haven't walked in my shoes, you don't know the pain, you don't know the regret, you don't know the anguish. It eats at your soul.
Mm-hmm. And that was part of the reason for retiring, because it just got so hard, and the losses or the mistakes would just hang with me so much longer. I have a good friend who was an NBA general manager who made some bad free agent deals that said, I made this deal for $50 million and the guy wasn't any good. He said, those are mistakes. He said, you didn't foul a guy and that's the mistake that's going to make you change your life. But the losing and the mistakes got to be so dominating in my life that it was hard to handle.
What was life like as kids growing up?
I always say that I can't really answer that question, because to me, everything that we did as kids was normal. So it was normal to go to all these crazy basketball games.
Other kids always thought it was so unique, but I had a buddy whose dad worked for the radio station and would chase tornadoes. That's the dad I wanted. That sounds way cooler than what my old man did.
He just had, like I said, kind of a cool job, and we got to have a bunch of extra older brothers every year that would be around a lot. And our Thanksgiving dinner had 50 people at it because Mom always cooked Thanksgiving for the entire team.
He always had a intensity that you saw on the court that people would come up and say, God, is that what your dad looks like when he yells at you? and it was never, it really wasn't ever like that. But he probably wasn't around as much as maybe some other dads. But again, I don't know that we recognized that until he got in the way of our plans when he was in town, because he was very focused on making sure that we had dinner together as a family every single night he was there. I loved playing basketball at the time, and so I knew every Friday night everybody was going to be playing at the Holcomb basketball courts from 6 to 10 o'clock at night. The lights came on at 9. And when he was in town, that meant I wasn't going to get there until the lights came on, so I'd already missed the first few hours of playing. And so, yeah, then when I'm sitting around eating, macaroni and cheese and whatnot, that it didn't hold a candle. I would have rather been out playing.
We didn't eat macaroni and cheese if he was
Yeah,
home.
that's true. Pop doesn't do
He doesn't
pasta.
do pasta.
No?
Doesn't
Oh,
do pasta,
and doesn't
do
pizza, right?
Pizza, yeah.
What's the deal with him and pizza?
I have no earthly idea. And the only times he's ever eaten pizza, he will tell you, is when he went into a prospect's home.
If mom is handing him a plate of pizza, he's going to eat that plate of pizza.
On an official visit, he is doing nothing to upset a mom. And so I promise you, every slice of pizza he's ever had has been served to him by a former prospect's mom.
How punctual is he?
Very.
He is still one of the most scared moments I've ever had in my life, because I knew we were going to get in trouble for this. We were at a NCAA regional in Dayton. I'm in the room with the athletic director's son, my best friend, Brad Frederick, now one of his assistant coaches. We walk out because we're going to practice, we're on the team bus, and we get up to the door, and I knock on the door because the door's just closed, and I look up, and Pop just waves, and they pull out. And I'm looking up into the bus, and I'm seeing the players, and I know them at this point, and they are clowning me because my own dad just left me.
I was left once in France.
You were?
My mom and I both were.
What happened?
Yeah, we were trying to eat dinner before a game. We were going to be on the team bus to go to the game, and it just took a long time to get our food, and we walked out of the hotel doors just in time to see the bus start pulling away, and it was like, well, guess we're getting a taxi.
How about favorite moment from his career?
2005 national championship. Just
yeah.
because it kind of cemented that he could win the big one. It meant so much to him, and I think we all kind of felt we were along for the ride.
And there's a picture that I still have in my house hanging up that's when he came off the court and came up into the stands to hug all of us. And I think we're all just, luckily my back is to the camera, so you can't see me bawling.
I
but
definitely wasn't crying.
You were definitely crying.